It's always nice to beat that team. It is always nice to beat that team. I hate them. I'm always going to hate them. I hate their fans. They don't have any fans, but the couple of middle school fans that they do have, I hate them. I hate their stupid arena. I hate their fake nobody celebrities that they get. I hate their furries. And I hate their team. Every player, every coach, it just feels amazing to hate and win against the Brooklyn Nets. And that's what the Knicks did tonight, or today, this afternoon, a Saturday matinee at Madison Square Garden. Excuse me if I am looking up every once in a while if you are watching the YouTube edit, because I am watching the UFC card that's on tonight. But man, like, that felt good. That felt good. I hate the Nets. All right, I am an asshole Knicks fan, I guess you could say. But yeah, it always feels good to beat the Nets, no matter what circumstances are in play. So let's talk Knicks Nets, episode 649 here, the podcast. Let's roll. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for three. That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Shaking and baking right here on the neophyte.
U.S. trying to close the show. She was doing a great job of feeding that. It's over.
Don't you regret not coming to the net? Don't you regret not coming to the net?
Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Okay, let's do it. Let's talk New York Knicks versus the Jersey Nets. Man, good win. Good win. Good win. Good win. The Knicks beat the Nets today. Keep wanting to say tonight. They win today against the Nets at the Garden with a final score of 105-93. Couple of injury non-updates before the game. There were a couple of tweets from beat reporters saying that Randall is still not taking contact. I'm not expecting Julius back this season. I think he's coming back for the postseason. But as far as the regular season goes, I don't think we see him in any of these final 13 games I think we have left. So, still not taking contact. I can't imagine he's going to be back. I would like to get him some tune-up games, but we'll see. And then there's still nothing really on OG and Mitch. They did not play today. I'm expecting with the schedule, I think we might have said this last show, coming up for the Knicks, Brooklyn today. They have Detroit on Monday. Then it's Toronto and San Antonio. I don't think we see them. I think the Knicks slow walk it, which makes sense. And then we see Mitch and maybe OG come back, one of them hopefully at least, come back for the OKC game at the very tail end of this month on Sunday the 31st. But with this rotation that we have, the Knicks are trotting out there and they're still finding ways to win games. The lineup they threw out there tonight was the same lineup that they threw out there. I said tonight again, didn't I? Against Golden State and Sacramento. Golden State and Denver, which was that small ball lineup where you had Deuce at 2 as opposed to going double with your bigs and playing Precious at 4. So they went with the small ball lineup. And again, if I look up every here and there, this is because I am watching the UFC tonight. So if you're watching the YouTube edit of this podcast and not the audio version, that's why I'm looking up every couple of minutes, because two of my favorite fighters are fighting tonight on the main card. I'm a big Amanda Ribas fan, and I'm a big Thug Rose Namajunas fan. So I'm kind of having trouble deciding who I want to pull for, but I guess I got to go with the American. So if I do look up, it's because I'm watching some UFC. So where was I? Let's get to the game. This had let down vibes early on. You get, information that the Knicks didn't get back into New York until 5 a.m. this morning. So matinee games, when you're getting in late, it's it can set you up for failure. And Brooklyn was having a pretty good first three quarters, really, where they were making all their shots and kind of the, was it Newton's law? Some kind of, whoever's law, if things can go wrong, they will go wrong, something like that. That was kind of like the story at moments of this game. There was a good pace early on from the get-go. You had Brunson and iHeart working the pick and roll. Deuce McBride gets hot. And the Knicks are down 30-28 after one. Second quarter comes. The Detroit guys come in. Their minutes are bad. Shocker. And you could see with iHeart sitting, the Knicks pick and roll defense was pretty bad as well. Then the starters check in, and you have some good plays from iHeart, McBride, DiVincenzo, the big ragu. The end of the period, in the final seconds, Mikal Bridges throws up a 62-footer from behind the opposite three-point line, and he makes it. So that annoyed me. That gave Brooklyn the 57-56 lead at the half. Third quarter comes. It was a very competitive period, but the Knicks go on this 9-0 run late in the quarter. And then this time, hitting a three-pointer at the buzzer was Cam Thomas, a more traditional three. And it was 80-77 after three quarters. Fourth quarter comes, though, and the Knicks, strong from the very start. They go on this 12-0 run early on. Donte was a big part of that. Josh Hart. And then there was just some great rim protection on the other end. Deuce McBride knocks down a three midway through the period. iHeart had a very nice couple of finishes to kind of put the cap on it. And the Knick defense was so good that Brooklyn went 8 minutes without scoring a point, without knocking down a shot after their early shot in the fourth quarter. But the Knicks would eventually go on to win, again, 105-93. Donte DiVincenzo, the big ragu, leads with 31 points. Deuce McBride, 26 points right behind him. Cam Thomas for the Nets led with 19. And Mikal Bridges, a.k.a. Squidward, according to Josh Hart, 18 points. If you know, you know. Listen, I thought the Knicks played not even their greatest defense, but they still ended up playing good defense by the numbers. Brooklyn scored just a pathetic 93 points. So you got to credit the Knicks for locking in that fourth quarter and holding them down. The Nets only had 16 in the fourth. Again, I mentioned they won on that drought where they won 8 minutes without a field goal. They were generating some very bad looks for the most part in the fourth quarter. And the Knicks, I thought, were doing an excellent job at the rim. Defensive rebounding all game. That was the elite part of their defense tonight, was their rim protection and their work on the glass. And you got to credit that to Tibbs scheming to help off of lackluster shooters and focus in on the lanes. So that helped the Knicks protect the paint as well as they did. I thought Isaiah Hartenstein had a great defensive game at the basket, of course, but he was defending in space, tagging off ball, defending in isolation if he had to step up onto Schroeder. Donte DiVincenzo was excellent in help. A couple of times where he was playing as the weak side low man and he was getting deflections out of it. He forced a couple of misses off of his contests. He was jumping the pass lanes like he usually does. Cam Thomas tried to throw a pass to Cam Johnson at the end there. Donte jumped the lane and got the steal and slam. And the Knicks just overall in this game were very aggressive defensively. They were playing up high, and they were rotating very crisply in the back end. So it was a good defensive night, but the key to this victory was that the Knicks, this was like why you love Leon Rose, because the Knicks have developed a very deep rotation. And the Knick role players led this team to the win. And that's what we're going to talk about as soon as we get back from our first break here on BD4. Stay with us.
Hey there, thanks for listening in so far. If you enjoy this episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much. You can follow us on social media as well. On Instagram, we're at BD4Pod and at Rob J. Carbone. On X, we're at BD4Pod and at RJCBD4. And on Facebook, we're BD4.
All right. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to episode 649, where the Knicks rise up to punish the Nets with a late win. They pulled away late and they win. And this was a game where, again, their role players led them to this win. This is the Knicks rotation being very deep because Jalen Brunson did not have a good game today. He scored only 17 points. He shot just 7 for 24, which I believe is less than 30%. But his mates helped win the game. You know, the role players for the Knicks, Donte DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Deuce McBride, all in particular, combined for 80 points on just 58 shots, 55% shooting. The Knicks tried their best to get Brunson going. They tried him in off-ball actions again to pressure the defense, you know, pin down into DHO, zoom actions, and have him come around screens. But he had a lot of issues today isolating out of the pick and roll. And you got to credit the Nets first and foremost. I thought they were out there playing chess. I really thought they schemed in well. In the first half, you could see the Nets were mixing up pick and roll coverages, switch, drop, hedge, trap. Like they used Claxton as the ISO defender. Obviously, that's not a favorable matchup for Jalen because Claxton is long, he's strong, and he's one of the better big man defenders in basketball. So I don't know why he was trying to isolate onto him. But again, like the Knicks tried to get different matchups. In the second half, Tom Thibodeau made the adjustment, and he started using his guards to screen. He brought Deuce into the action to screen. He brought Donte DiVincenzo into the Brunson actions to screen. The goal was to open up a different mismatch outside of Claxton. And for a little bit, Brunson was getting some good looks off of those switches, but Brooklyn saw that. They saw the adjustment, and they made a counter to that, and they started switching the action. They would even have possessions where they were pre-switching the action, where Claxton, as the switch man, would direct it so he would be the ISO defender after the switch. And so Brunson just really, really, really couldn't get his way, and I think you have to credit the Nets first and foremost for that. But again, Brunson got help from his mates, from his teammates, and Josh Hart had the most Josh Hart game you could have, where at the end of the day, he finishes with 6 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, a block, a plus 15, and that was across 44 minutes. He was such a non-factor in the first half. He was obliterating the Knicks because he wasn't doing the Josh Hart things. And on top of that, he's been shooting so poorly of late that just gets magnified when he's not doing the intangibles. Second half comes, the Josh Hart that we know and love came alive. And he grabbed 11 of those 13 rebounds in the second half. He had an excellent third quarter where he was pushing the ball up the court. The fourth quarter comes and he was amazing. The hustle, the second chance opportunities he was creating. He had the block on Nick Claxton off of the Cam Thomas floater. He had the putback off of the Deuce mix the next time down. The Deuce McBride miss the next time down. Then he has the offensive rebound when Jalen Brunson misses the shot. He skies in for the offensive rebound, kicks it out to Deuce McBride. Deuce knocks down the three on the right wing, and the Knicks go up 13. Just Josh Hart, the hustle plays. It's hard to put into words how much these possessions mean for the Knicks. But if you watch Josh Hart make these plays, it's like, yeah, that's why he's playing. And like the reason the Knicks were 26-3 in second chance points, the reason they were 18-5 on the fast break and 16-8 on the offensive glass, you got to say Josh Hart's the main reason there. He was that's his identity. So he was great. Donte DiVincenzo with a cool 31, 6, and 5 today. He came through big time in the fourth quarter. Crunch time baskets. He had the 7-0 run all by himself early on in the fourth. He has the big three to put the Knicks up double figures at the 8 minutes and change mark. And his 3-point shot wasn't like great tonight, but he scored 31 because he was doing real good damage at the first two levels. He was 8 of 11 inside the arc, 73% on his twos. He was, I thought, getting downhill and finishing when Brooklyn ran him off the 3-point line. You know, he had a lot of crafty takes to the basket and crafty finishes, going high off the glass, scoop layups, in traffic, under the basket, throwing it up. Very good job. And this is a guy who usually struggles at the basket for the Knicks, but he was getting the job done. He knocked down a mid-range jumper, too. And he continues to just do really good things as a secondary creator. They had him in pick and roll on the empty side a couple of times. Donte and Jericho Sims I've been noticing, they're starting to develop a little bit of a chemistry together in the pick and roll. And that's a good thing because Jericho's been playing with the second unit, obviously. Donte's a guy who sometimes gets staggered with that second unit. So that's an interesting two-man tandem. I noticed that has started to gain a little bit of chemistry. Catch and shoot off of weak side hammer screens. You know, he was making plays on the fly. You know, Brunson at one possession, I think this was in the second half, maybe the fourth quarter. Brunson was on top at the left wing with the ball. He falls down. Schroeder kind of tries to double the ball, but Dante's up top off the ball. He cuts middle. Brunson finds Donte back door, and then Donte hits Ihart off the back cut. Ihart's in the dunker spot. Ihart throws it down. So just really smart, witty play. Ihart had a good game himself. His chemistry with Brunson is, you know, something we've talked about a lot in the pick and roll, in the short roll, in pick and pop, off a blitz or a trap. His ability to move into space and into open pockets and just make plays, it's elite. His passing combined with Jalen Brunson's movement, and honestly vice versa. Like we saw that possession where Isaiah Hartenstein got the and one late. That's because he's shifting off the ball, and Brunson is able to find him with the pass down low, a little bit of a pocket pass. Just their chemistry together is so good, and it's why this Knicks offense is able to create offense. I thought Ihart on the other end was playing good defense. He was playing two, rotating. He was big on the offensive glass. That opened up some threes, some finishing opportunities. Early in the second quarter, he gets an and one because of his offensive rebounding. He was good. So good to where I noticed that once again, when he went to the bench, like I said, those minutes were tough to watch. Precious and Jericho combined for a -4. Precious has been bad lately. He only got 7 minutes in this game. I've heard a couple of different opinions on that. I didn't mind. I didn't think he was great. Jericho was the one to get Precious' minutes tonight, and he got 18, and he was so-so. We'll talk about him maybe in a little bit if I can remember. Deuce McBride, another role player who stepped up. I mean, he had 26 points, 9 for 16. He was 6 for 12 from 3. He had 3 assists, and he played all 48 minutes. So Tom Thibodeau loves him. If you need anything to prove it, just, look at the box score. But no, Deuce McBride's growth has just been very impressive this year. What he's ended up being, like we call him, why is my camera not focused? Let's see if I can fix this. I don't like when it does this. I never know how to fix it. I'm going to pause the recording real quick. Okay, I think we're good. He's become what we wanted from Quentin Grimes, right? And the good thing is Quentin Grimes is due to get paid soon. Deuce McBride had just gotten paid, and he's on a gigantic value contract, maybe the best contract dollar for dollar in the NBA. Is that too much? I don't know. But he's been amazing, and he was great tonight on both ends against Cam Thomas. I thought he was smothering him. Cam Thomas is a good shot maker. This guy can get buckets, and he limited Cam Thomas to 19 points in 36 minutes, 42%. He had a couple of nice drives going baseline. He was putting the ball on the floor, and his first quarter, setting the tone early, helped the Knicks. He was good in that third quarter on that run, and his growth is, you got to attribute it to his confidence, the confidence increase. This is a confident kid. This is a word you often hear when people bring up Deuce. You look at him early this season and you look at him right now, and it's two different players. And that's because of the confidence increase, the volume of shots that he's now taking, the different things he's doing that he didn't do on the ball, snaking pick and roll, the types of shots that he's taking now, mid-range, he's finishing with his left hand, he's pulling up, he's going off the dribble. It's really impressive, and that pull-up jumper is going to depict a lot for him, right? When the defense drops and goes under, he's going to that. And the more times he goes to that, takes more threes off the dribble when he's facing a drop coverage, the more times the more the defense is going to respect him. The more he does that, he's going to develop a history of being a guy who can shoot off the drop. And that's going to make the defense play him differently. We talk a lot on the show here about how the defense still goes under Deuce. If he continues to take and make threes when they drop on him, that's going to change. But right now, he's scoring consistently. He's had 18 games now this season where Deuce has gotten at least 20 minutes. I rounded, so 19, 30 plus. 18 games with at least 20 minutes, and he's scored 10 points or more, 16 of those. So, it's, again, if this continues, where he's beating closeouts and he's taking you off the dribble, if he can just improve his timing, his clock management, and get the Knicks into their sets a lot quicker, he's going to become a very credible second unit point guard in their future. And you don't have to make trades for Detroit Pistons players, right? But yeah, like I said, it's going to come down to that 3-point shot. Once the defense starts respecting that and they begin to run him off the 3-point line, it's going to be on Deuce to make that next adjustment. When he gets past that first rotation, when he beats that first closeout, what does he do from there? Because breaking down a defense in one-on-one has been one of his flaws. Can he get the driving kick game working? Can he find a way to work off the dribble and beat a defender with his handle? That's the next part for him, because the shot is there. The defense is there. That's why he's in the league, because he's been this 3-and-D guard for a while. Right, high school he could shoot, college he could shoot, the G League he was shooting well. That's why he's here. He can play defense and he can knock shots down. So, Deuce McBride, Josh Hart, Donte DiVincenzo, all led the Knicks to this victory today. I want to go and hand out game balls real quick before we move on to our next segment of the show. So let's hand out our game balls when we return from break here on BD4. Stay with us. Be right back.
If you're interested in our website, just go to www.bd4blog.com. You can subscribe to our blog on there right on the front page. Just like on the podcast, we cover Yankees, Knicks, and MMA. Also on our website are the links to the different platforms for the podcast. Thanks so much.
Hey, also shout out to the Iowa Hawkeyes, the Lady Hawkeyes today. Caitlin Clark, I'm a big fan of her. Become a big fan of that team because of her. They picked up their first win of the tournament today against Holy Cross. So that was a fun game. I watched most of that after the Knick game. I turned on that, and Caitlin Clark was struggling there a little bit there in the first half, but she found it third quarter, fourth quarter. She was passing very well, played some good defense, jumping the pass lanes a couple times at the end there. So that was a fun win for them. Let's go to our game balls.
Bing bang.
Donte DiVincenzo, giving him the game ball. We talked about him just now, but yeah, 31 points. 6 boards, 5 assists, couple steals, a block, shot 50%, 12 of 24. He was only 31% from 3, knocked down 4, and he was 3 of 4 at the line. The dude's been incredible for the Knicks, so much better than what we asked for. Guy who's on a mid-level exception contract. I mean, you talk about value contracts. Donte is another one. So he had a great game today, and he now has 12 game balls on the season. He's got 12. Let's move on to our game ball going to Jericho Sims off the bench. This was another process of elimination game ball. I didn't think Burks was great. I didn't think Boyan was great. Shocker. And I also didn't think Precious was great, like I said. So I guess I'm going to hand it to Jericho Sims, who wasn't fantastic, but he did grab 7 rebounds. And he, grabbed his steal, and he was a +5. So I thought he was very bad in the first half, not going to lie. But the second half was a lot better. I thought he had some important offensive rebounds for the Knicks. He now has 4 game balls on the year, and I'm pretty sure 2 or 3 are like process of elimination game balls. So I do a little bit want to talk about these Detroit Knicks because another brutal game for them. They were bad, and it's getting to a point where I like the Knicks are constantly losing those minutes where them two are on the floor together, and that just begs the question. It's like, why isn't Tom Thibodeau staggering? You're losing those minutes constantly when they're playing together. Stagger, split them up. It's the constant, again, low IQ basketball, turnovers, defensive breakdowns, fouls, bricks, bad shots, blocked shots. Bojan Bogdanovic, 7 minutes tonight, 0 minutes in the second half. He's starting to wane on Tibbs. And that's because his defense has been fucking brutal, abysmal. Lonnie Walker was giving him some work. The easiest 9 points you're going to see him score. And that's because of Bojan Bogdanovic's slow feet. He was facing Lonnie Walker and he was still beat backdoor. There was a back cut in the second quarter, I think it was, where he just completely went by him. Dumb decisions. It seems like once a night he's making dumb decisions. He's helping off the 3-point line on the strong side. Somebody drives at the nail, and I forget who he's guarding on the wing, and he helps off him to stop the drive, but there's 2 defenders on the back line. Guy hits the 3-point shooter, and he's now open because Bojan's cheating. he got caught on a sharp screen and he never recovered because he's just so slow. He is getting beat on the weak side. Like, he has just been absolutely dreadful. Like, I hate poor defensive Knicks, but when they give me production on the offensive end, I'm able to live with it. He's not giving you much offense either. It's not, like, I want to say he's been inconsistent offensively. That's starting to become a compliment if I were to say that. He's, like, talk about dumb decisions every night. How many times is he going to turn the ball over making a directionless pass? The other night, he's trying to force it to Burks in the corner, turns it over. Tonight, he has that pass off the driving kick. It goes the other way. Directionless, purposeless. And the Knicks are trying their best to get him to knock down shots, and they're getting him in actions. He's just not executing. They're trying him in ghost screens, pick and roll, pick and pop, empty side actions. It's not working for him. And, you know, people keep saying, well, when the Knicks are healthy, it'll get better for these guys. I hope, you know, maybe, you know, like we said before, Randall's gravity, he'll be able to draw the defense to the strong side, which will open up the weak side that Bojan will be on. But it's like, how often is Bojan going to be playing with Randall? He's not going to get many minutes as it is. Why would he be playing with Randall? That's 2 minus defenders. Now, you can play Mitch and OG. That's, you know, they'll be able to hide Bojan's defense a little bit there. Mitch will be able to clean up his mess on the back line. But still, it's I don't see Tibbs trusting him enough. He doesn't trust guys who play zero defense. And Bojan plays negative defense. Like, it's brutal, man. And those guys always get banished at one point or another from Tom Thibodeau's rotation. Obviously, the latest being the guy Bojan was traded for. But, yeah, and you could see the trust is waning. 24 minutes against Sacramento, 19 minutes against the Warriors, or 17 minutes against the Warriors, 14 minutes against the Nuggets, and, again, 7 minutes today. Did not see the floor in the second half. Down. The trust is waning. And Burks, it's the same shit. It's poor clock management. It's taking shots out of the rhythm of the offense. Not creating advantages on the ball. Just not being able to do anything with it. You know, his shots getting blocked once a night, it feels like. His best use is as a weak side spacer or somebody who comes off the screen in pick and roll and shoots against the drop coverage. But, you know, he was brought in here to be a point guard and not a weak side spacer, and the defense is not always going to drop on him. So it's rough, man. And the only positive I can think of is that these guys aren't going to be playing in the postseason, right? I'm pretty confident that Deuce McBride is going to be getting Burks' minutes. And I'm also starting to get more and more confident that Tibbs might just cut the 9th man out overall. Like, we keep talking about Bojan being the 8.5 man. For those of you who don't know what the fuck I mean when I say that, it's the 9th man who doesn't get a lot of minutes. So I call it the 8.5 man, the 8.5 man. I don't even know if he's going to play a 9th. You know, and if he does, maybe he favors Precious because we know Tibbs does prefer size. So does he go with those 4-5s if the Knicks, who they it seems like the Knicks, let's just say they get a 4 or a 5 seed, are going to be locked in with the Magic in the first round. And we saw the Knicks play the Magic last time out, how they were able to contain Paolo by switching by switching Precious onto him. So there's a very good chance that in the first round of the playoffs, if the Knicks do match up with the Magic, Precious is the one who gets the 8.5 man minutes because of that matchup. But we'll see. Speaking of playoffs and standings, let's do a little bit of a standings check, shall we? Let's head to break, and we'll check in on the standings when we return here on BD4 episode 649. Be right back. Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born. All right, welcome back to the show, episode 649 of the podcast. The Knicks rise up late to punish the Nets, 105-93. I believe that says at, and I meant to put, let me change that to verse. It's a little too late now. We're about to wrap up the show here. I just have OCD. Fuck. There we go. All right. Yeah, let's get to our final segment before we get to our trivia. Do a little bit of a standing check. So, as of now, as I am speaking, it is Saturday night. Saturday night, March 23rd. The Sixers have the 8 seed. They're 4 back of the Knicks. Miami has the 7 seed. They're 4 back of the Knicks. Indiana has the 6 seed, 2.5 back. Orlando, with their loss to Sacramento tonight, that was a big win by the Kings, thank you. They dropped to 5 again. The Knicks, with their win, go back up to 4, and they are just 1 game back of the 3 seed Cavaliers. So that 3 seed is very important to a lot of Knicks fans because most of us don't want to play Boston at any point in the first 2 rounds. And the way that the Knicks can avoid Boston's side of the bracket is by getting the 2, 3, or 6 seed. I definitely don't want to flirt with disaster, so we can eliminate trying to get 6. 2's probably out of the question, but it's not that far away from Cleveland. But let's focus on 3. If we can get 3, I'm good. 2, 3, or 6 will have you avoiding Boston in the first 2 rounds. So that's the idea for the Knicks. Cleveland loses and the Knicks win. There are, again, I think 13 games left. Let's check this. So the Knicks are 42-28. Siri, 42 plus 28. No, you know what? Let's just do the calculator. 42 plus 28, 70. So there are 12 games now after this. Dozen games remaining. Cleveland's banged up. Donovan Mitchell's got a couple of injuries he's dealing with. I think a couple other guys are out for them. So the Knicks have a shot. They're seemingly getting healthy. Mitch and OG shouldn't be too far off. So at least you can wrap up the regular season with them too. And yeah, I'm hoping they can avoid Boston's side of the bracket. So their next 3 games, so they had Brooklyn today. Monday they got Detroit. Then it's Toronto and San Antonio before the OKC game. So you can you're hoping that they, really win these next 3. Monday needs to be a win, and you want to win against Toronto. I know San Antonio has Wemby, so there might be one slip up in there, but I'm hoping to go 4-0. It's just nice to start this off with a win against Brooklyn. Fuck the Nets. Nick Claxton, ever since saying I've never lost to the Knicks, he's now 0-5 since that comment. And the Knicks are now on the verge of sweeping the Nets this season. They still have one more game, fortunately, against that bum franchise. But that's it. So what we'll do is we'll head to our final break, and then we'll wrap this thing up with our trivia when we return here on episode 649 of BD4.
Thanks for listening to BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA, Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion.
Okay, let's get to our trivia question of the day. All right, so for this question, it's a true or false question. True or false? The Nets suck, have about 6 fans, and each of them are high school children. True or false? The Nets suck, have about 6 fans, and each of them are high school children. True or false? The answer is true. So let me know the answer wherever you can reach me in the next episode. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out in the next episode. I mumbled the shit out of that one. Yes, one final time, true or false, the Nets suck, have about 6 fans, and each of them are high school children. Let me know the answer. All right, that's it. I appreciate everybody stopping by. Episode 649 is in the books. The Knicks beat the Nets. They rise up with a late comeback in the fourth quarter, and they win 105-93 on another good defensive showing. And, yeah, that's it. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode, 650. Opening day this week, folks. That'll be fun to cover. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you, and we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees, and go Knicks!